real estate agents today are more advisory than they are brokers, right? Or selling. Sales is a part of everything we do. So it's how do we make that easy? How do we now put that into technology so that technology makes that easier? I knew nothing about payments when I went to Square. I knew nothing about channel marketing and channel sales when I went to Structured Web. That process, that objective, that problem, that pain point is universal for 70 or 90% of our agents. There's so much variation of agent type inside the brokerage world. Veteran agents, teams, you've got, leasing agents, you've got new dev agents, you've got suburban agents and buyer agents and listing agents and people who do all of the above, and people have international clientele. And the interesting thing is, although the agent base is very diverse and fragmented, you start to see a lot of patterns emerge very quickly.
Welcome to another episode of Real Talk, episode number 43. Guys, I started this podcast about a year and 2 months ago, and we're already through 43 podcasts. So this is our 43rd episode. I just want to say thank you for those that have been with us for day one. It's been a nice journey. I've had an opportunity to really sit down with interesting people, have conversations, deeper conversations than you would normally by going out for a drink or going out to a happy hour. Or inside a controlled office setting. So, one of the reasons why I started this podcast was to give insight to those that were in the real estate industry or interested within the real estate industry or tech industry to really delve into what's really going behind the scenes, not just at Compass, but the real estate market and how we live and how we operate, and also the personalities that are surrounding in our field. So, some of you guys may have been listening since episode 1, but if you haven't, please go back and listen to the 2 episodes that I've done with my friend Levi Meyer from Miami. He's one of the founders of our Compass brokerage in Miami, Florida. I've also had my mentor and my manager, Gordon Golub, who was the ex-founder or the original founder of City Habitats, him and Andrew Heiberger, who founded essentially the early beginning of real estate brokerage in New York City. I've also had Will Gieslin on. Will is a good friend of mine. He was the first corporate accountant for Compass, or formerly known as Urban Compass. He comes on and talks about why Amazon pays $0 in federal income tax and how Trump may have gotten away with paying $700 in federal personal income tax. I've had other people like Rory Gollard, who's the GM of Compass in the tri-state region. My good friend Sean Hughes, who I have actually grown our business with together from the town days. And also really influential New York City characters like Amir Karangi, who's the founder of The Real Deal, all the way to Gabriel Stolman, who used to operate 10 restaurants in New York City. But because of the pandemic, obviously things have shifted there. So please go ahead and take a listen to those episodes. But on to today, I'm really excited to bring on Mike Coscetta. Mike is a friend, a client, a colleague, and I would also say a mentor in business, and also one of the most influential people that Compass has hired, and we're currently working on our team, along with our team, for us. Just to give you a brief background, Mike is currently the Chief Sales and Strategy Officer at Compass. What that actually means, we'll go into in a little later. As far as his background, Mike grew up in Long Island. He started his sales career as a Cutco knives salesman. Some of you may remember Cutco. I remember when I was a kid, we had people in my high school selling Cutco knives. Essentially, it's a door-to-door sales operation. You're selling knives, you're selling different packages, you're selling subscriptions. Mike became very, very successful at it. He eventually rose to the division manager position of the company, and he was responsible for the entire New York City metro and surrounding areas. So I guess, Mike, just one real quick question is did you,
Sure.
You made money on that, and I'm assuming that paid for some of your school?
It paid for all of college. I mean, it's pretty incredible.
Mike went to Harvard, not a local state college where you're paying $4,000 or $5,000. You're paying 50, 60, probably 10 times whatever you pay for state colleges are worth. So that's amazing. We can talk briefly about that in a little bit. But after that, Mike, after graduating from Harvard, I believe you were in a science degree, right? It wasn't sales, it wasn't business, it wasn't accounting. You were in some sort of
economics. And then biochemistry as a focus. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems easy at Harvard, huh?
Very easy. Else. Yeah. Nothing like memorizing 145 different, alkene compositions in organic chemistry and knowing what your isotopic balance is for a chemical reaction. Yeah, good
So
Friday night fun.
Not only were you a sales genius, but you're also a chemistry genius. So it's you have the benefits of having both worlds, which is kind of unique. You see a lot of salespeople, especially maybe real estate brokers. A lot of them don't have an engineering background. A lot of them maybe have come from a business background, or even like an acting background is very popular, or a sales background is from a different company is more popular. You're a sales guy that actually has more technical knowledge of the sciences, so that's really interesting. But fast track, after graduation, you worked as the VP of Sales and Marketing for Structured Web, which is I believe it's a web company that scales growth for certain businesses. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's marketing automation, sales automation for companies that sell through indirect channels, resellers, partners, VARs, system integrators. Very complicated world, but a world that needed a lot of help.
Right. And then after that, you moved to San Francisco to join Square, which many of us probably know. If you had gone to a local coffee store, you may have seen that little square icon that helps us empower small businesses to take more payment or different types of payment. So Square was founded by none other than Jack Dorsey, who many of you may know, may not know. He is the founder of Twitter. So Mike advanced to become the global head of sales at Square. He was responsible for growing the sales and business development organization from 40 to 200 people across 5 major countries. And you grew their business to $1 billion in annual revenue. So that's phenomenal. From a tiny little, I don't know, at 40, what's your sales at 40 people? What can it be? A couple $1 million? Not even. So
from the sales org, it wasn't a ton, but it was a nice ride.
Yeah. So 100x, which is a pretty, if you work in any sales business, 100x is what sales coaches train to people. 100x, people get fired up, but you actually achieve those figures. So that's something that should be noted. And then present day, you work with us, and your primary goal as the Chief Sales and Strategy Officer is essentially to grow each individual broker's revenue throughout the nation. So Mike, thank you for coming on. I appreciate your time, and good to see you during this pandemic.
You too. I'm a little upset to know that I'm only the 43rd most interesting person and that 42 people somehow got top and higher billing than I did. Takk, I thought we were friends, but
that's amazing.
I don't know.
Some people have been on like twice already. No, Mike, this is not.
Oh, come on.
At all. Mike, you've been on. I've looked you up. I'll tell you something. If most of your listeners don't know this, you have been, out of all of our guests, you have appeared in more podcasts than any of our other guests that have ever been on to date. Even guys like Amir Karangi, who Amir is in front of people every day, and he could leverage his audio to be on a podcast platform, but he hasn't yet. He's more on like YouTube and stuff, but like you've been on more, you've appeared under more podcasts episode searches than anyone that I have.
These are fun.
So
these are fun.
So you're the most popular guest on a podcast platform that I've ever had, and
well, let's find out. Let's prove it.
You got to save the best for last. Not that.
Yeah. Well, I'll keep telling myself that.
So anyway, so listen, Mike. What we do is on this show, we don't want to just go straight to the heart. We want to kind of warm you up a little bit, give you a couple softball tosses. Oh, by the way, before we start, I am joined by my co-host Danielle Stout.
What's up, everyone?
Danielle is in her apartment in Jersey City right now.
Yeah.
All right. So
I thought this was a New York only podcast. New Yorkers only. I'm sorry.
I have gotten people from RE Offshore in LA.
I'm kidding.
I got people. Leighton Johnson from Aspen, who just signed a $24.5 million estate called a 2-mile ranch.
Awesome.
Aspen is doing great this year. Their market is fire.
I'm just giving Danielle crap for being in, over there, the other state, across that river.
Yeah, right across the river. I know. I give her a hard time all the time.
But think about it. She gets to look at New York. We have to look at Jersey, right? So she's got the actual benefit there. Like, wow, look at this beautiful skyline.
I'm looking at it right now.
Well, Mike, I have to tell you, I am potting from Williamsburg, Brooklyn. on the
Yep,
waterfront. So I get to look at Manhattan as well.
Very cool.
Can't complain about the views. So let's start off with a couple softball. You can just knock these out of the park. And this is when the game show music is going to cue in the background. So it'll be fun for listeners. All right, so here we go. So your warm-up questions for today are as follows.
All right.
Uber or City Bike?
Oh, Uber.
Uber. Okay, you're a quick
Riding a bike around New York City is a death wish. Like, I love bikes.
Exactly.
Riding a bike around taxi drivers and Uber drivers, you're out of your mind. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Your favorite go-to restaurant in New York City?
So one of my favorite local spots is a little French place in Soho called Bistro Les Amis.
Okay.
I think it's amazing. So it's been a consistent one for a long time.
Is it open currently?
Yes. Oh yeah. They're doing very well, I think.
Okay,
Thank God.
We'll have to put that in the show notes after that. Go-to bar or watering hole in New York City with obviously during the if it's open during the pandemic, you have to have the Cuomo meal. You have to have the significant meal.
Cuomo chips.
Cuomo chips, the
think,
Cuomo sandwich.
I love the bar at the Nomad Hotel. I think that one is
beautiful.
incredible. Yep. And also, I'm a sucker for any rooftop. It could be 4 degrees outside. I just have this need to see New York City skyline. So and there are many. I love Arlo.
Favorite rooftop? Arlo. Okay.
I love Arlo. In Soho, I love the James. I guess it'd be Jimmy at the James.
Jimmy at the James,
and I don't think they're open. I don't think they're open these days. But those are two old school spots that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah, those are great choices. Danielle likes the 235th Avenue rooftop.
That's for tourists and people from Jersey City. That's.
I haven't been in like 4 years.
She wanted to go for her birthday. So we walked up. We walked up there, and there was a cover, so we decided to maybe skip it for this time.
They have
around.
the igloos, right? They have igloos and parkas, right? You've got the Santa parkas, and you've got the little igloos up there.
Yeah.
That place knows how to do it.
That red blanket, yeah.
And you still freeze your ass off. So
that's true. Here we go. Equinox or New York Sports Club?
Equinox.
Okay. Westchester or Long Island?
Come on. I'm from Long Island.
It's your hometown.
Westchester's upstate. There's mountains up there.
Westchester is pretty flat, but yes, it is technically for New Yorkers. It is considered upstate.
Oh, hell yeah.
San Francisco or New York City? Ooh, tough one.
Again, not even close. New York City.
All right.
After living in San Francisco, I have nothing good to say about it.
All right. And then final one. What's the most touristy thing you like to do in New York City?
So I love to just roam and just walk around, which sounds crazy, but I take pictures of things as if I've never seen them before. I walked by them 500 times. But I think one of the best tourist things you could do, even as local, Circle Line. I love boats.
Circle Line, yeah.
Go and just tour around the city. I think it's one of the best ways to see New York City.
Good old New York ferry. Can't beat it. It's
awesome.
So nice.
Oh, or the ferry. It's free. Staten Island ferry. You get an amazing tour, for no charge. So that's probably the best tourist attraction you could ever ride.
That is a cool tourist attraction. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah,
and you go
that's
back
a good
and forth
idea.
all day if you want.
And you could, bring drinks on your boat, and you could buy your drinks on the boat and stuff like that. Yeah, it's kind of a nice thing that they've had. I did something thinking about touristy things. I did something where I actually was biking by the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree yesterday, and I got a photo of it. Kind of touristy. Yeah, kind of touristy. Gives energy and life back to Midtown, which we need right now.
It needs it.
It's been a tough winter or fall for Midtown people in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you're also, before we jump into our serious question, you're also, according to your LinkedIn, an angel investor and startup advisor. Are you allowed to talk about some of the startups that you invested in or you're involved in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really involved. I don't really do a lot of advisory these days, but I've invested in a few. Fintech startup called Infinicept, a kind of a new coding platform called Uncork, an advertising platform called AdQuick, a luggage storage company. You know Uncork? Yeah. Amazing company with really nice, opportunities. My friend's company Bounce, which is luggage storage and kind of short-term storage, but with no overhead. They don't own any of the storage space. So obviously they've taken a big hit with no travel, but great platform, great products. What else? One I cannot share because it's confidential still, but one that has an amazing opportunity in the semiconductor space. And then a couple of funds as well, and a bunch of real estate investment. But
oh wow, okay, that's across all sorts of spectrums, right? You basically you have coders, you have storage space, you have real estate, all kind of related to tech, but in different sectors of the industry.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very nice.
Very true.
How does one become an angel investor?
One is you have to like losing money, right? Because most of your money will disappear. You've got to be comfortable knowing that you might not see a return for 5, 10, 15 years, if ever. But there are a lot of networks. So the Jobs Act in 2010 allowed people to become accredited investors and act as investors in private placements that are non-public, right? Because when they're not public, they're not audited. There's nothing really affirmed. So you're taking a big risk. But something else that came out of that is this concept of a syndicate, where you can have an accredited investor or a portfolio company or a VC or someone basically raise money from individuals and pull that money and invest on their behalf. So that's the easiest way for people to start to get into it. And to me, Tim Ferriss talked about this years ago, how he weighed the idea of getting an MBA. If you think about the cost of an MBA, not just the cost of getting it, but the opportunity cost of not making money and the time and all the other things. He said, why don't I just take $10,000 and invest it in 10 different companies each year for 2 years? And I'll probably learn more about business and operations and entrepreneurship than I ever would in a classroom. And in my mind, I'm like, well, holy crap, that's an incredible, proxy for an amazing education. So that's kind of the desire behind why I want to do it.
I mean, that 10 grand itself is probably worth 100 grand based on the amount of human experiences and learnings that you'll get to encounter throughout that. Not even 1 year. You said it could take 10 plus years to get your money back. That's 10 plus years of free education.
That's right. And by the way, I wish I was Tim Ferriss, because the companies he got to invest in were Uber, Twitter, Reddit, like companies that clearly today are, worth tens and tens of billions of dollars. So
they kind of hit.
Yeah, a little bit. I think they've done okay.
They've done okay. Yeah.
Airbnb did. Yeah.
Okay.
Not bad.
Yeah. Airbnb has an IPO, right? They're on their
way. Coming soon.
Okay.
Yeah. And it seems like it's going to be a blowout.
Interesting time to IPO for tech companies, especially. I just feel like Airbnb is not, like, hotels are struggling. People aren't traveling, and I'm sure, I don't know what the profitability is like year over year in comparison, but I just feel like it's not their home run type year. It just feels like an interesting time to IPO. What do you think about that?
You should take a look at the numbers, because they've shared a lot, and they took a massive hit and they had to raise $1 billion basically to stay afloat, because again, as you know, in March and April, travel ceased across the country. I mean, ESA check-ins were down 97%, right?
No money.
But what you've seen happen is that just like people are not flying as much, but they are driving other places and they need a place to stay. And it's almost transformed travel from being this aspirational travel world of, I'm going to go to Dubai, I'm going to go to Japan, I'm going to go to whatever. It's like, no, I'm going upstate. And you know what? There aren't enough hotels upstate, or I want to stay for a week or 2 weeks, or, I live in a cramped New York City apartment. I want to go work from somewhere else for a couple of weeks. Well, Airbnb has kind of, shoved itself in this almost temporary temporary office space.
This area, like this within this area. Yeah, you're right.
So they've actually done incredibly well, and I give them credit.
Okay, good to know. Well, listen, you're a busy man. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So let's jump into some of these real questions, the hard-hitting questions to the core. Your background is in Square and phenomenal companies, and the idea sprung up to make it easier for company to take money, right? What better way is it for business to help out a business for them so they can take more money from people?
Right.
Where was Square originally when you joined the company? I guess you said it was obviously 20 person team or whatnot, but where was it exactly then? And then where was it when you left the company?
So the team was about 20 or 30, but the company itself at the time was about 1,000 employees.
Sure.
And it was right around the IPO time. So it was a really interesting place to learn and see, what does it take to become a public company. And Square went public under a lot of skepticism and scrutiny because, here's a company saying we're a software company, we're a software company, we're a technology company. Wall Street didn't really know what that meant. They're like, well, you look like a credit card processing company. So how do you kind of transfer the kind of perception of your business from being this like very boring credit card processor to being this game-changing technology platform that, like you said, allows more businesses to accept, card payments, that allows more businesses to operate efficiently and productively. So the business went from just that little reader, that people plug into a phone.
Yep.
That people still
scanner.
take Square with. Yep. And by the way,
Yeah.
even before that, before they even had a reader, you could just key a card number into a phone. That was game-changing, payment technology at the time. Now Square is obviously operating in many countries. It's not only one of the leading mobile points of sale in the country, not just for small businesses and coffee shops and food trucks, but if you go to Shake Shack and order on their kiosk, that's powered by Square. If you go to Washington, D.C. and take a taxi, their digital meter is powered by Square, and the payments rolling
That's
through.
A huge one.
Pretty cool.
Huge
Big
one.
ones. If you go to Washington National Stadium, which hopefully someday we get to go back to stadiums, and you want to order food from your seat, you're actually doing it through a combination of Square and their back-end operations. So it's really proliferated into being this incredible, mobile payment and mobile order technology company, while also now the most amazing thing that they've done is Cash App. And, Cash App with 40 something million users or whatever the number is. Yeah.
It's the new Venmo.
And it's a 100x better Venmo. Because, inside of Cash App, you can trade stocks, you can buy crypto, you can borrow money now, you get your direct deposit, there's a debit card. So as you could tell, transparently, I'm still a Square shareholder and believe a lot in that company, but it's really a transformative business worldwide.
Square is a buy. Square is a buy. He is not giving you investment advice.
I have not, yes.
According
no
to,
way. Not on
according
record.
to the power rating system, they have a grade A on the components that make up the success to be a bigger company once the vaccine is approved and businesses back up in all across the nation, especially in the retail sector.
Yeah, I mean, they're $95 billion valuation right now. Stock's over $200 a share, and it went down to $36 a share in March. So, people really thought this company would be destroyed because the retail sector, food and beverage, et cetera, but they've responded incredibly well. Yeah.
Short-sighted, short-sighted.
Well, same with Airbnb, right? People thought Airbnb was done, but now they're going to IPO at 3x the valuation.
Right. All right, well, let's switch gears. I want to do a little pivot here, and let's talk about Compass. I think was it your idea, the Compass Concierge program, or did you kind of make it into fruition? Because on the transition from what we just talked about, Square, and why I want to talk about what you're doing at Compass, Square also is a business loan company. People don't know this, but you guys proactively reach out to businesses at Square to give them money to help them grow. What you're doing at the present time with Compass Concierge, and give me 30 seconds to explain what Compass Concierge is to our audience. For those that don't know, is essentially we as brokers, when we take on a listing, we will give that listing owner the opportunity to utilize interest-free loans up to, well, New York City up to $30,000 right now, to do whatever you want to do, or I would advise you to do, whether it's bathroom renovations, staging, kitchen renovations, painting, spackling, decluttering, whatever it may be, upgrading electrical fixtures, washing windows, whatever it may be, to increase the value of your home. If it's usually, our metrics are about, if you put in, it's usually about, if it's under $1 million, if the property's worth under $1 million, it's probably about 1.5 to 1.7 times your investment to do that type of work. And then that's the amount that you'll probably get back on a sale. So going back to you, Mike, when you came, was the Compass Concierge idea kind of, did that fruition come because of what you learned at Square, or was there some kind of tie into that?
I can't take any credit. And the reason why is because we steal all of our ideas from you, from our agents. And we just saw, hey, agents are doing this anyway, right? Whether you were recommending that your client has to paint and stage, whether the client was taking money out of their own pocket. In many cases, agents were coming out of pocket and doing this work because they walk into a house like, you can't sell this house, right? Or no one wants yellow carpet.
I'll give you the listing, you pay for the staging. It's like, what?
Well,
I pay for the staging?
Exactly. But Takk, that in many places, the only way you'll get a home to sell is to stage it or paint it or clean it, because especially in a very competitive market right now, like New York City is probably facing, one of the harshest markets it's faced in a long time. So it's like, well, when there's so much inventory on the market, you need your place to stand out above that rest of that inventory. So there's kind of multiple buckets, right? There's the, hey, your place is unsellable in current condition, right? So we need to do some of the work, right? There's, hey, your place is fine, but like we can get it to sell faster and for a better price with, just a little bit of work. And then there's somewhere it's like, hey, for not a lot of money, you can transform your home from, $1 million property to a $1.5 million property with just this small investment, and no promises because no one really knows. But you know the data, and the market, and you know what is selling and what's hot. Maybe a $30,000 updated kitchen gives $100,000 in added value. Maybe it doesn't, right? But so we stole the idea, honestly, from our agents who were doing this for years. Where I think my team came in is, okay, how do we scale this? How do we support 20,000 agents doing this? How do I support thousands of projects in a legal way, in a compliant way, in an organized way? And that's why we partnered with a licensed consumer lender as well to be able to scale this with the debit card, whether it's the debit card or direct payment to vendor. So there's a lot here, but I think Concierge has been a game changer, not only to helping agents win listings, but also to helping those clients sell those homes faster and for more money. And we have the data to back that up, which is pretty cool.
I mean, I can't speak to LA agents or Aspen agents or Chicago agents, but I will say New York has had a very tough year due to the pandemic. And some of the apartments that we have sold this year, and obviously it's not as much as last year, but I will tell you, if it wasn't for Concierge, it would still be on the market today, hands down.
It's great affirmation. Takk, when you're like, oh, where did the idea come from? It's hearing agents say things like that, because that's a game-changing comment.
Yeah, I mean, Danielle, how many Concierge projects have we done since the program came up? Like two dozen, almost, maybe more.
Probably around a dozen.
Dozen? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so out of those dozen, I would say almost 99% of the ones that we've actually implemented Concierge sold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, that just tells you proof that we actually, for those sellers that use Concierge, the proof is in the pudding that it works. Now, Mike, I have a question about just kind of logistics of that. The sellers say, okay, we're going to take a loan from you of $30,000, and we want to, we will pay you back at closing. But why? Where's the catch? How do you guys make money on this? And I guess my answer to that is usually, well, we don't really make money. We just get the listing. We just solidify the fact that we get the listing. Now, there has to be a way where the lender is making money on the back end, right? Because it's not like we're personally, or Compass is personally lending out their money. It is coming through our partner and our lending partner. So how is there an exchange of money, and who's benefiting from that?
Yeah, so it is our money, right? It's 100%.
Oh,
our
it
money
is.
that's being
I thought it was Notable.
But Notable's the one lending the money. So we invest with Notable. Notable's then the lender to determine when this money goes out, how it goes out, et cetera, to make sure that we're compliant. But that's still Compass money. We pay Notable a per loan fee, to issue them. So it's pretty simple. That's how they make their money. We don't make any money on Concierge per se. We don't charge fees. We don't charge interest. And we've stated that we never will. However, I think where we do make money is in what you just said, which is that 99% of these Concierge homes that you've done have sold, whereas only 56% of homes in New York City have sold in the last 12 months that hit the market, right? So when your client says, oh my God, 99 versus 56, that's a pretty good bet, to say this is pretty cool. Nationwide, Concierge homes are selling about 28% faster than non-Concierge homes. And that's a pretty crazy stat. So it's like, even in the hottest markets, like you mentioned, Aspen, Southern California, Boston, Nashville, Tennessee, Austin, Texas, Concierge homes sell materially faster. So for that client, the difference of a third less time on the market, that's peace of mind. That's fewer carrying costs. That's maybe one less mortgage payment or two less mortgage payments to make. So this is real money savings for a family, especially for a family who might have kids and they're stressed. So we don't make money on that, but we know agents win more listings because of it. So everyone does better on the Compass side from that perspective, but your client does better. And that's the brand we're trying to build around Concierge, that this is not only a competitive advantage for you as an agent, Takk, compared to a non-Compass agent, but that you're able to show your client with data using Compass Lens and with our new Concierge CMA that's going to come out, that these things make a real impact on the sellability of the home.
Yeah, I mean, everything sounds so good about it. You know, it's like, it's almost too good to be true. Now, tell me though, it can't be all too good to be true. I mean, what are some of the hard
Thank God, no.
lessons that you've learned? I know, right? What are some of the hard lessons you've learned during this process of learning how to implement and scale Concierge?
I mean, the beautiful thing is we've done about 17,000 projects. So we have a really, really nice sample size to look at all the risk in the portfolio and the risk. And you know, the return rate on this is very high and the default rate is extremely low. And we've been able to really isolate and identify what are the profiles or project types that are the highest risk for us, or the ones where we've said, you know what, like, we don't think we're going to get the same bang for our buck with this type of listing having Concierge on it than another. And this is why you've seen the guidelines change over the years of, you know, list price cap of 3 million, you know, the project size, you know, caps in place. So these still encompass 95+% of our previous project portfolio, but we've eliminated that very small percentage that we deem very high risk. So there aren't any hard lessons here, I would say, but you know, one of our entrepreneurship principles is learn from reality. And one of the realities is we've been able to identify pretty clearly and discreetly what those buckets of home are that we probably don't need to throw money to. You know, new development,
Yes,
you know, exactly.
yeah.
And by the way,
They have money.
I would love to see Concierge on new dev, right, to stage those homes, but that's usually already incorporated into the agreements with the developers. So
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's not the same value add.
Well, staging is different. I mean, yeah, staging is probably easier, but like once you start lending money to new dev, that means we are the equity partner to that project.
Yeah, and we're not
essentially.
set up for that. Not today.
Right.
You know, we're definitely not equipped for that.
Yeah. Well, you know, as far as timing is concerned, we want to kind of switch a little bit more out of Concierge and talk about, you know, you really never, you come from a tech background, but you come into real estate, and yes, I mean, you've owned homes and obviously you bought and sold yourself even before coming to Compass. But what have you learned jumping into the brokerage world, working with brokers? And like I said before, a lot of us, we are not, we're tech savvy, but we're not tech people. So you're coming into a whole different field and industry, and I'm sure you've had a huge adjustment in how you want to focus your attention in working with some of these brokers, or the way you train them, or the way you talk to them, or way you think about products for them. You know, what have you learned since coming here about the real estate industry and brokers on maybe in New York City and a national level? And what do you hope to learn again going into the future?
I think that's a critical set of questions, because I knew nothing about payments when I went to Square. I knew nothing about channel marketing and channel sales when I went to Structured Web. And you have to listen to customers. And, you know, in Compass, you are our customer. Our agents are our customers. And, you know, I probably met with, no exaggeration, maybe 200 agents and sales managers in my first 3 months at the company. And there's no other way to learn. There's no other way to do it. So it's like, well, because what you see very quickly is there's so much variation of agent type inside the brokerage world. You know, again, you've got veteran agents, teams, you've got, you know, leasing agents, you've got new dev agents, you've got suburban agents and buyer agents and listing agents, and people who do all of the above, and people have international clientele. And the interesting thing is, although the agent base is very diverse and fragmented, you start to see a lot of patterns emerge very quickly. And my goal is to be able to take those patterns and take the repeated effort and the repeated function and the repeated goals and say, okay, how do we now put that into technology so that technology makes that easier? Because that workflow, that process, that objective, that problem, that pain point is universal for 70 or 90% of our agents, right? And if you're solving it there, and you make marketing easier, for example, well, then agents do more marketing, which yields more leads and more sales, right? If I can give you better data so that you can show a comp analysis to your client, and they say, oh my God, Takk and Danielle know so much more about this property in this neighborhood, this building than anyone else. I would be crazy not to list with an expert like this, which is why I think the term real estate advisor has started to emerge from the industry, because I think real estate agents today are more advisory than they are brokers, right? Or selling. Sales is a part of everything we do. So it's how do we make that easy? What do I want to keep learning? I always want to be able to see around the corner and see forward, right? Because I need to look a year, 2 years in advance, because it takes a while to build things and it takes a while to scale things. So it's what are the things you're doing today that I see changing in 6 or 12 or 18 months, so that we, through our technology, can build so that when we get to that point, or the market shifts or the industry changes, we're already there. And we have a technology solution to help you through that, as opposed to just a manual solution, or agents having to scramble. And I think in the industry, agents have had to scramble a lot because of a lot of industry changes or regulatory changes or market-based changes. We want to be able to build so that no matter what the environment, you can operate your business effectively and productively.
What do you think that changes as far as tools are concerned? I mean, is it AI? Is it a specific technology?
AI is huge. AI is huge because there are so many things that you do every day that other agents do every day that you probably don't want to do every day, but it's part of the job. So it's like, can we help you automate or simplify that? Can we help notify you when certain things in the market or industry change that, hey, you as the expert maybe then make the decision, do I want to talk about this? Well, the industry is showing me XYZ, and our AI tool can start to find these patterns that as humans, we can't identify. And when you look into 2021 and 2022, what do we know? Well, we know mortgage rates are going to stay really low, right?
Yes.
So what does that mean? Cheap money. Cheap money is attractive and fun, but eventually there might not be enough money to go around, and mortgages are going to have to start to constrict even more who they lend money to. How do you balance that? How do you handle the co-op boards of New York City, in a very uncertain time, right? Craziness. So
my goodness,
we
there's
automate
so much
a lot of the work that you do. So that your job is easier and that you can then focus on what you do best, which is meeting with clients and selling real estate and showing homes and not in the minutia of the day to day.
Yeah. Okay. You said you met with 200-300 brokers. I mean, was there one meeting that kind of shocked you or surprised you, or just made you think or thought, wow, this industry is crazy? Was there one meeting that kind of stood out to you?
Nothing specific, but I think what did stand out is how different every one of your jobs is every day. Same title, maybe same market, maybe the same office, maybe the same tenure. It doesn't matter. How you do your job, what you love to do, what you're good at, what you don't like to do, what you're not good at, what you want to accomplish in the next 12 months. Listen, we have a lot of agents as well who in their mind, they don't want to grow their business, right? Which is crazy, but they want to profit more because they want to be more efficient at how they run their business, or they don't want to work 90 hours a week because maybe they've got little kids, or they want to get closer to retirement. And then there are other agents who are like, if I don't double my business next year, I'm going to be very unhappy. So accommodating and building for all those use cases is really hard, but it's a lot of fun because the goal is to build for all types of agents.
Yeah, that's what makes our industry so unique. When I was young in my early years, I'm 12 years in the business, but it's you can ask 10 agents for advice and you're going to get 10 different answers. And so it's very frustrating to find a mentor that really makes sense, or really frustrating to find a solution to a problem because everybody's got different answers. Just
it's up to you to
nature
figure
of
that
the
out.
beast. Exactly, nature of the beast. Before we close out, Danielle, my co-host, do you have any parting questions for Mike?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what do you think is the most rewarding part of working at Compass so far and working with all these different types of agents, since it's a different type of setup from your former roles?
Yeah, I think it's seeing the vast adoption of some of these products because, Takk, you mentioned you've done a dozen plus concierge projects. Concierge projects take time,
I've done
and effort, right? You're not going to do it unless it makes sense, unless it's really helping your business. And the reality is the gratitude and the gratification that you see when you build something that materially changes the success of someone's business. Agents are all independent contractors and business owners, and to me, it's you're helping a business owner. And that's actually very similar to what we saw at Square. Taking a small business doing a couple $100,000 a year and helping them grow to $1 million business. That's real money to a real family who's 100%. Putting kids through school and putting clothes on those kids' back and putting food on the table. And our agents, I think, are in the same boat. And if our agents don't sell, if they don't do transactions, they don't make money. So every day, just making sure that we're building stuff that helps our agents make more money, helps them grow their business if they want to, help them be more profitable, because you see it immediately in the business. And again, for many of our agents, they're individuals, they're individual business owners. So the gratitude is there both ways. I really believe.
Yeah, no, I truly understand that and truly feel that. The partnership has been a phenomenal ride, with having a tech partnering with tech and business and growing the real estate field and changing it dynamically. One more thing on my end. I know one of your podcasts, you said you don't really look at competitors because that's a waste of time, right? It's like Olympic swimmers. They don't look at who's next to you in the lane. It's you focus on your swim. But other companies are coming up with concierge too. So I just wanted to note that it is an interesting trend that we have set in the industry. And it could be interesting to see how things will happen and how things will go in the following year with concierge it might become a normal thing.
Yeah.
I saw that
imitation is the
highest form
imitation, the highest form of flattery. Yep.
Is that The Office?
No, I forget whose quote.
Oh no,
that's an old quote.
Oh, that's an old quote. Okay, yeah. I think Dwight Schrute said that once, or somebody said that once in The Office. It was hilarious. Anyways, Mike Coscetta, thank you for coming on to the Real Talk podcast. I really appreciate your time. Have a nice December. We'll stay in touch and hopefully catch up again, sometime next year.
For sure. Well, thank you both. Have a great holiday.
Thanks,
All
Mike.
right. Thanks, Mike.
Care.
Talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.